Yeah, we have three beagles. We have Henry, who's the oldest. We have Clark is the middle, and Sunny Pearl is our little girl. So Henry, Clark, and Sunny.
Okay. And so is Henry about 13 years old, I think?
Henry is 13. Uh,
Clark is
Clark is,
8?
and Sunny will be 2. Sunny just turned 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I guess there's so much to ask just in these three. So I guess let's get into the context of how these guys, how you chose these guys. But first, why Beagles?
Well, hey, come here. Hey, Henry. Hey, buddy. We before my wife and I got married, when we were dating, we always talked about having a dog together. And I grew up with Cocker Spaniels, and I love Cocker Spaniels too. But and she had a boxer. But I think we both just agreed that we both loved beagles. I don't know, something about the beagles. It's like, to me, is one of the quintessential dogs. And we started looking at beagle puppy photos and things of that nature. And we were like, oh, they're loyal dogs. They're very smart. They're awesome. So, and then we started talking about it. And then we had a friend of ours whose brother had two beagles, and they had a litter of puppies. And when we found out they had a litter of puppies, we I surprised Jessica actually with it. And I went to our friend and I said, look, I know you're going to have a big litter coming up pretty soon. I said, we want the boy and we want the runt of the litter. So please just go ahead and know that that one's claimed as soon as the litter comes. So we would go out there and visit these puppies before they were able to be, take it, adopted or whatnot. And but Jessica had no idea that Henry, the one that she would hold and look at was actually ours. I was playing it off like, no, we can't get a dog. We just don't have the time, all this kind of stuff. Meanwhile, I'm like so excited. I'm like, I can't wait to bring this little puppy home. Um, so I surprised her with it as soon as he was ready to be away from his mother. I surprised her, and so Henry was our first dog, and then we were off to the races after that. As far as beagles go, we thought they were great, great animals, and we had, we really enjoyed Henry. And then a few years down the line, we went to our local animal shelter, and they called us and said, hey, we know you guys love beagles. We know you have Henry. We just had another litter of beagles that was here at the that was brought into the shelter. They said, if you want to come look at these puppies. So of course we go there and we look at the puppies, and we meet them all. And then I was kind of hesitant about getting a second dog at the time. I was like, oh my goodness, it's one thing to go through the puppies training with one and do all that, because at this time Henry was older. And I was like, a second one, man, that could be a lot. So we go there, we meet him, and Clark just stood out because his coat was the lightest coat of the rest of the litter. So he just stood out to us, and he was really sweet. And even going to the shelter, we went there a couple of times, and we even took Henry with us to kind of let the two meet and see how they were
Hmm.
going to. But still, I was really, really on the fence. I was like, I just don't know. This is a huge step, a second dog. And I remember going in there, and the lady at the shelter was like, so what do you think? And she said, we've had a lot of people come look at them. And I was like, I don't know. And a family or a couple walked in behind me and Jessica after we had left seeing Clark for the first time, or the second time actually. And I saw this guy pick up Clark, and he was like, ooh, I really like this one. This one's really cute. And then he put it back down. And as soon as I saw that, my subconscious, I was like, we're getting the dog. Because I couldn't stand the fact of, as much as I was on the fence about it,
Yeah.
I couldn't stand the fact that somebody else was possibly going to get this puppy. So that, boom, he's ours. So then we brought Clark home, and he was awesome. Henry and Clark got along fabulously. They're two boys. And then same situation happened a couple of years ago. We have a nonprofit charity too called the Henry and Clark Foundation that
Hmm.
try to help out shelters and things of that neat and much. And we were doing that around December, about this time, a couple of years ago. And again, the lady at the shelter said, "You guys aren't going to believe this." She goes, "We have another litter that was just they were all born here just a few days ago." And she said, "Do you guys want to see him?" Or I'm sorry, a few weeks ago. She goes, "Do you want to see him?" Of course, we're going to say yes. So they bring all these puppies in this big room with us. And Sunny was the one. She ran up to me immediately and was just so excited. And she was loving on Jess. And again, I'm a firm believer, just like most dog people are, that when you go pick out a dog, the dog calls to you.
Right.
Uh,
Yep.
because that's the way you have to do it. It's impossible to look at a lineup of dogs and be like, "You're the one." They're all the one. You just
Yeah.
have the dog be, make you, you know. So Sonny came up and she was super lovely, and then lo and behold, we're like, okay, we need a third dog now. And then so it's just funny to think that it was such a big deal getting the second dog, and then the third dog was like, I think we should do this. But we were a little more nervous because she's a girl. So I was like, I don't know how
Yeah.
this is with two boys and a girl, but it was a little rocky road at first. But now, they all sleep on top of each other and they're best friends, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
That's great. Well, immediately I want to ask, you seemed, uh, very focused on the male and the runt. Why was that?
I think we just wanted to, I don't know. I think sometimes, not every time, but sometimes runts can get overlooked. We weren't
Mhm.
getting eagles. Like Jessica and I, we don't take them out and have them run up and down trees, and we're not hunting and stuff like that. So, um, a lot of people that might want beagles for that purpose because they're great at that. Don't get me wrong. They're excellent tree dogs and they're excellent hunting dogs. Um, but I was like, I want the runt, man. I think the runt's the coolest. It's just it's the little small guy. I think it's fun.
Yeah.
And that's why we claimed him. And then I think I think Clark also was the run of his litter because we had the same mindset. We went in and looked at them all, and I was like, this one looks to be the smallest. And him and Henry are almost kind of close in size. So we didn't want to have like, you know, a super small beagle and then a big one. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
we kind of wanted them to be somewhat in the same size range. And same thing with Sonny, you know. So that's kind of how we picked those out. And but then again, Clark called to us, Sonny called to us. Henry was already claimed before he was even born. So that's kind of the story of how we got him.
Okay. And now that you have Sunny, the female, what do you notice between male and female? Any behavior?
Oh, for sure. She definitely is. She definitely tends to rule the roost. You know what I mean? At first, yeah, him and Clark are pretty chill about things. Sonny, super energetic, and super picky about certain things. She can be a little feisty about things.
Mhm.
Uh, has it in her blood. She'd like to hide toys, or she'll take all the toys, put one in her mouth, and lay on the rest of them. And I'm like, what are just out of spite. You know what I mean? Doing this is ridiculous. But she's being a little crazy, feisty girl. But on the other side of that, that was during like a lot of her puppy stage. Now, uh, she is definitely the most tender between all three of them. She wants all the belly rubs all the time, and she gives those sweet little puppy dog girl eyes. And I've always told Jess that she just, even though I know she's a girl, I said those eyes are female beagle eyes. They just have something else about them. And
Right.
she's my little girl for sure. So she's very special. They're all special, but it's a different dynamic when you bring a girl in the mix too. And I love it.
Yeah. Now, I had a note on Henry, something you said in a post celebrating, I think, a birthday, but you said he's a miracle beagle, literally.
Yes.
Why did you say that?
So in 2018, we were on tour in Europe. It was actually on my birthday. I got a phone call. We were in Germany. I got a phone call from Jessica, and she was hysterical. And what had happened was we keep a lot of our Christmas decorations in our attic, and our attic has like steps to go up to, kind of like Beetlejuice attic. And all of our stuff was up there, and Henry was up there with her. And because we would let the dogs go anywhere with us, and nothing's harmful up there. It's just a bunch of stuff. Well, nothing's harmful that we thought. Bunch of stories. So she was getting Christmas stuff down, and Henry was with her. And then a couple of days later, I'll come back to that. But a couple of days later, she noticed this bruising on Henry's stomach. And she's like, well, that's really weird. He was being really lethargic and really tired, wasn't acting himself. So we sent some pictures to the vet, and my brother-in-law, his family owns the local vet office here, so they're angels too. So we were able to text a photo late at night. Jessica did, said, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And they were like, "Yeah, it's odd. Make sure and bring him in the morning. We need to look at that." Well, the next morning, that swelling had gotten so much darker, and his stomach had gotten a lot bigger. So Jessica knew that something was wrong, and she took him out to use the bathroom, and she could tell that there was blood in his urine. So at that point, where she's freaking out. So she takes him to the vet, and the vet was kind of in panic mode, also trying to keep her calm. But they knew that this was a serious thing. He was internally bleeding, is what was happening. And come to find out, he had eaten a small piece of rat poison that was,
Oh,
and it was a very, very, very scary situation where they had to put him on a bunch of different medicine. He couldn't move. Jessica had to get one of these baby Bjorn things and pack him around like that. And we had to take Clark to my in-laws' house because Henry couldn't be around another dog because they were like, he doesn't need to do anything active. Anything active or can get him wound up could
Mhm.
make his inside even worse. He really needs to be just still. He could only eat a little bit. It was really a nightmare, and very very touch and go and very scary. And thankfully, after a lot of TLC and love and prayer, he was able to survive this and overcome it. After it happened, though, after we found out he was completely out of the woods, our vet did tell us like there were several times we didn't think he was going to make it. That we were going to have to
Wow.
make a phone call and say, "Hey, there's no way." But they are incredible vets, incredible doctors, and they were able to save his life. So that's why he's our little miracle beagle.
Okay. Hey, that that
But
definitely
now,
fits the bill.
yeah, and we did away with all that rat poison too. We had exterminator would come to our house every quarter and spray,
Yeah.
and we asked them. Of course, not their fault whatsoever, but we asked them what kind of stuff they put down, and they linked it back and said yes, because the stuff they put down it looks like a treat. It's
Yeah.
almost like a piece of candy, and that's what Henry thought it was, and
Oof.
he enough of it to mess him up. So now we've done away with all that rat poison. We always try to make sure and let our pet friends know, hey, if you're going to put it down, good. Maybe get the box kind that has it inside that your
Yeah.
dog can't access. It's just something we never thought about, and unfortunately, we learned it the hard way. But he's all good now.
Yeah. Well, good to hear. Well, I was originally going to say what's kind of the difference between them and personality, but actually, this is something I did with another artist a few episodes back. But let me give you uh, descriptions of a dog, and you tell me who fits.
Okay.
So, who's the best guard dog?
Let me think here. That's hard because any kind of random sound that doorbell rings, it's like they are on it. But I'd say the one most, um, probably Clark. Probably Clark. I'd say no. Actually, I'm gonna take it back. I'm gonna say Sunny probably because Sunny is the one that's always the most alert. You can't do anything without her knowing about it. So I'd probably vote her for that.
Okay, she might have the mama bear instinct.
Maybe so. Yeah.
Okay, who would be the personal trainer?
That's a good question too. The personal trainer, Henry. Hush, buddy. I'd say Clark because when we first got Clark too, he was the one when we let him outside to go walking, it was like an Olympic sport. He was just he could not. He was just so excited to be outside. So I'll give that one to Clark.
Okay, I have two more. Who would be the therapist?
Henry would be the therapist for sure because we always say like he's the calm one, he's the wise one, he's been around, you know,
Yep,
he's had life struggles and he's here to talk about it. So he's the therapist.
makes sense. And finally, who's the comedian?
I'll give that to Clark too, probably because he's our little boy that I keep looking back at him. I apologize. I
It's
stare him.
okay.
He's our little guy that always he loves to entertain. He's everybody's friend too. Clark is the sweetest. He barks a lot, but that's to be expected. I mean, at the end of the day, he's a dog, but he's the probably the best companion and funny little dude. So I'll give that one to him.
Okay, he's got the name for it as well,
That's
Clark
exactly
Griswold.
exactly right.
So, okay. Well, you recently released a children's book,
Yes.
Good Girl Sunny Pearl.
Yeah.
You wrote it and illustrated it.
Yes.
And from your post, it sounds like it was something you set a goal early last year or this year, 2024, and got it done.
Yeah. I grew up. I loved writing books when I was a kid and drawing, and my mom still has all the copies of the stuff. Sorry, I'm gonna have to walk and get Henry some water. He keeps
That's
barking at.
okay. It's
This
okay.
is Henry right here, by the way. He's a
Hi,
sweet.
buddy.
Uh, I've always had that goal in mind to do something like that, and when it came time this right after Christmas last year, I said, okay, I'm setting a goal here and I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to take some time in January and I'm just going to sit down and write this book and I'm going to do it. That's my goal is to write, illustrate, publish this book in this year. Well, it was like January, like the first week of January, I think I was up. Jessica had gone to bed and I was up at night and I think it was snowing. I remember that. So I was kind of up just watching it snow. I like that. And I was trying to figure out I knew the story. The story was going to be about Sunny's puppy stage and how she went from bad girl Sunny Pearl to good girl Sunny Pearl, which is kind of an inside joke with our family. Um, so then I was like, okay, well, how do I want to write it? Is it going to be just like a storybook? Is it going to be a Dr. Seuss style? Is it going to be a rhyming book? And I guess because just being that we write songs and stuff, I like finding words that rhyme together. So I think I had maybe the first couple lines, and I was like, okay, this is going to be. From then I was like, this is going to be a rhyming book because this makes sense. These first couple lines are making sense. And then I was like, oh, I'll put in this tagline, bad girl Sunny Pearl. And I'll make that a recurring theme, and then it turns into the ending theme that she finally learned her lesson. So once I figured out, okay, this is the flow of the book, I was off to the races, and it was like 2:15 in the morning. I finished it, writing it. I put it in the notes on my phone. And I remember I couldn't go to bed that night because even though it was like almost 2:30, I was so excited that I'd written this, and I was like, I think I got something here. I really think I'm onto something. So I couldn't wait. I woke up the next morning. I read it to Jessica. I was like, I did this last night. Check it out. She loved it. FaceTime, my parents and some friends of ours, and I was like, check this out. And they were like, oh, it's fantastic. And I was awesome. Everybody likes it. Nobody was saying it's weird. And because I wanted brutal honesty too. I said, don't tell me it's good just because. I said that,
Yeah.
tell me things I can fix. My mom's a teacher too, so I was like, tell me. Anyway, no, she was like, no, this is perfect. It's fun. It's entertaining. So then came the next step of drawing it, and the illustration took me the longest because again, I had to figure out what style I wanted to go in. I was like, how does this going to look? Is she going to look? Is it going to be like realistic? Is it going to be like Disney cartoon? Is it going to be sketch looking? Is it going to be this? And one of my favorite Disney movie, one of my favorite movies of all time is Lady and the Tramp. So I loved that style of imagery. So I took some inspiration from that, and I spent months and months and months doing different versions of Sunny. And that's what I told Jessica at first too. I said, once I draw Sunny the character, I know I'll be good to go because I can draw everything else. I just had to make sure that her character, I was going to be happy with it. I was going to be proud of it. I was going to do her justice, you know. And again, it took me several months of just being my own worst critic and trying to figure it out. And then once I did, I was like, oh my gosh, I think this is the one. And then again, I was off to the race after that. So I was doing it while I was home. I took it out on the road. I did it a bunch while I was on the bus in between shows. And then I got it done and went to school on figuring out how to self-publish and looked at so many different tutorials and online stuff. And that was extremely overwhelming and very, very stressful to figure out how to do that because I wanted to do it on my own and I wanted to do it by myself and figure out this is something I could be proud of. And I just had to go to school essentially and figure out, okay, where do I start? I know I have the book, but how do I put it in book form? So that was a stressful part, but it's so rewarding now that to have like a physical copy in my hand and go, this was an idea. This used to just be on a computer. Now it's here and people can actually read it. It's tangible. So I'm very proud of it.
It's great. Well, I look forward to getting it because as soon as we booked this, I'm like, oh, good. It's on Amazon. I'll get it the next day, but it didn't have next day delivery.
Yeah, that's the only
Oh,
bummer about it is, because everything, when you buy it, it's all print on demand. So it takes a couple days, I think. It doesn't have the prime factor, but I hope you like it. I think it's cool. And that's the first one. I have two more that are one's about Clark and one's about Henry. I already have the titles. So now my goal for the top of next year is to write the second one and then the third one. So
that's great. Well, we look forward to them all.
thank you.
So you mentioned Henry and Clark, the Henry and Clark Foundation.
Yes.
When did that start?
We started that at the end of 2019.
And
Um,
what was the impetus for it?
we just, I know, talking about you. I was on the road. I remember I was in Colorado. I think I was in Fort Collins, Colorado or something like that on tour. And I called Jessica and I said, hey, uh, it was around the holidays. It was around November-ish. I said, hey, I got an idea. I said, this has kind of been on my heart. I said, obviously we love animals and we already donate to our local shelter as individuals and we try to do different things for different people around town. And I was like, I would love to start a charity, a nonprofit, and make it about not just pets, because obviously pets, but we love marine life. We're really big into like the ocean and trying to be good to the ocean and all that kind of stuff and not polluting the beaches. I was like, I think I want to do something that encompasses all that, animals of all kinds and also helping out children that might uh, need help. my wife and I have been trying to have children. We don't have any yet, but this is a kind of a way that we can give back to some kids that might not be our own, but it's still using a platform to do some kind of good. So that was the whole goal behind it, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been also hush. It's also been very rewarding at the same time to see that, and we've been able to help out a lot of different organizations and local charities and families. And again, I was talking to somebody about this yesterday. Everybody has a platform, be it big or small or whatnot. Everybody has a megaphone. It's just how you choose to use that megaphone, and we love helping out animals and people and kids and seeing people smile. So that's kind of what that was the whole goal around it. And we're actually doing something really cool coming up. The first of the year, we have a bridge that was built. I had this idea, I guess, into the fall. I was like, I want to do a rainbow bridge, and I want to donate it to our community dog park. And it's a place where people can go that have pets that have passed on. They can go and put a collar or a leash or write their pet's name on it. So the bridge has been built, and now I'm having the local Boys and Girls Club. They're going to paint it all different rainbow colors.
That's great.
And at the start of the year, we're going to present it to the dog park with a little plaque. And it's our way of kind of giving back to the community, because the community really supports us. And I kind of told them, I was like, I want our foundation to put like an actual stamp on something here that people can see that, we are trying to do good things for good reasons. So that's the next step for us. I'm very, very excited about that.
That's great. I love that idea. And I don't know if you're aware, the hurricane we just suffered in Western Carolina in
Yeah.
Asheville, they had a rainbow bridge that was
I saw
destroyed.
That's the one that kind of was the inspiration. I saw that
Yeah,
post online, and I said, it was so sad to see that. I said, but what a fantastic thing. And then I was like, our community doesn't have that. I was like, we need it. So we're going to have it.
yeah, that's
That's
great.
that. So, it was unfortunate that I saw it in that way, but sometimes with destruction comes new things. So it's
Yeah.
always a silver lining.
Yeah, every community should have one. It really is a very poignant spot, and I know it touches a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Well, listen, I wind up every show with what I call the Zoomies, and that's five fast, frivolous questions.
Okay.
The first question is, do you
Love it.
allow Henry, Clark, and Sonny Pearl to lick your face?
Yes.
Okay, that's the kiss question. Question two is, do they have a theme song? If they had walk-up music to the plate, what would it be?
Oh, that is a great question. Oh, I know this is a zoomy round. I don't know. I couldn't answer it right. I'm going to say Queen Champions, 'cause that's what they are.
Okay. Question three, this is hypothetical because I assume these dogs do not go on tour with you or have never been to a gig.
They have been to Henry and Clark have both been to gigs. Sonny hasn't have been to one yet. It will happen.
Okay.
Will happen.
Okay. So if they accompany you on a gig, what would they want on their tour rider?
Plenty. There's a certain kind of treat that we give them, and I have the bag in front of me. But if I rattle this bag whatsoever, dogs are going to lose it. But it's like a little cookie treat, and they know exactly where they are in this house. They're in two different places, and that's why they're barking, because I'm sitting next to it, and they think they're going to get one. Uh, it's unbelievable how smart they are. But that's what they would want, 100%.
Okay. Okay. Question four is, do you have a dog voice? Do you speak to them in a dog voice, like a head voice or high pitch?
Oh yeah, yeah. Not all the time, but we definitely have one. It's a dog voice. It's a baby voice. We have all the voices.
And the second part to that question is, do you give them a dog voice? Do you know what each one of them kind of sounds like?
We've joked about that too. Like what would their voices be? We joked about Sonny having like a Latino voice sometimes. But then we're like, I don't know, because we have some really good friends of ours that are Latina, and they joke about that because she's got this darker coat that Henry and Clark do. It would definitely be a sassy voice. Um, Henry, we used to think would sound like Michael J. Fox when we first got him when he was a little puppy, just because Fox has a great voice. Clark, I don't know what Clark's voice would be, but it would definitely be a loud one.
Nice.
Come here, buddy. This
There
is
you, oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
he's a good boy.
Who's that? Clark, you said?
Yeah, this is Clark. Yeah,
Okay. Hey, Clark.
he's a good boy.
That's great.
Hmm.
All right, and then last but not least, I always ask if there's a dog organization or a service that you'd like to give a shout out to.
Um, I know, well, our our local animal shelter, we always try to support that. It's called BRAWA, which is the Barron River Animal Welfare Association. That's as far as local stuff goes. I know there are so many out there. Like I know Hush. I know Miranda Lambert has a really cool one. The Mutt Nation
Yeah.
found. There are so many different ones out there that are doing the great thing. The Beagle Freedom Project, which we follow pretty closely, we actually tried to adopt one of those beagles that was in that
That,
terrible
yeah.
testing garbage. But we applied, but they didn't send any beagles to our area in Kentucky. But I was all about it, man. I was like, I want one of those sweet babies to come live a great life, or at least a
Yeah.
better. Um, but yes, those are probably ones that I could think just right off the top.
Okay. And I will throw in Henry and Clark Foundation as well.
Thank you very much.
Well, like I said, this will be out January of 25. What does 25 look like for you and the band?
I think the plan is to start writing some new music. Maybe we've already got some ideas together, and then we've got some dates coming up in the spring, into the summer. So, and then we'll have new music out at some point. So it's kind of always the cycle. You tour, you
Yep,
take time off to write, and then you're back on the road.
that's great. Well, Ben, I can't thank you enough for coming on. Once I was clued into you and saw your Instagram and all of what you do, I was like, you're going to be perfect for the show, and you were. So thanks.
I appreciate you asking me. I could do stuff like this all day long, talk about dogs. I think it's really cool that you have a podcast dedicated to it. So thank you for doing that.
It's my pleasure. My pleasure.